I've titled my paper Artificial Intelligence and Trade, the Human Problem. And when I did so, my initial thought was, well, what does AI do? What does it seek to do? It seeks to replace the human. So you get the human out of the way, and so it's more efficient processes, more efficient programs, and things move much more quickly and smoothly. But on reflection, there are a number of human problems that not only is it worthwhile to replace the human for efficiency reasons, but what happens when you do that, right? There's another human problem. There are a series of human problems like employment problems and a lot of other social problems that flow from that. So when I think about the human problem, I'm not only thinking about how trade is increased, becomes more efficient because of replacing humans, but with one eye on what happens to humans when you do that. Now, this is, speaking of the human problem, this is Alexei Sayle, who was the Jerzy Bolotsky on The Young Ones in the early 1980s. He had a hit single called Hello, John Got You Motor, in which Alexei asked the pertinent question, what's that button there for? And embodying the human problem, right? You've got a machine, he's talking about a new motor, it's in this instance the Ford Cortina, and Jerzy's human intervention, pushing the button, it creates a problem, right? So what we have is a problem that we've been trying to address with technology, right? So artificial intelligence. I'll go through these as we go. Artificial intelligence, right? Why do we have artificial intelligence? Why are we seeking to replace human intelligence in circumstances with an artificial kind of intelligence? Why do we want machines to do jobs that humans can do? And you see some of the definitions are that it's a system or a model that can do what in humans we would consider to require intelligence. So we're trying to replace the human with an artificial construct, and it's quite effective. In machine learning, we have a number of machine learning techniques or systems now that, in a narrow way, can outperform humans in multiples of 10. So, in computer vision. Now, I'll show you some statistics. Computer vision machines can outperform humans on recognising images. Natural language processing, translation services, recognising language, not just numerals and letters, but whole words, sentences, syntax, semantics. Computers being able to do what a human used to do, far better. And then robots, this sort of spectrum of between AI and robots. Where does AI turn into a robot, and where does a robot rely on AI for its functioning? This is a spectrum of points on a line. So Ryan Calo calls robots software that can touch you. So the idea is that we want computers, or we want machines to replace us and do better than us, so that we can, and the oft-quoted thing is, so we can do more interesting work, or we can relax and go on holidays for 100% of the time. Here we have some reasons why artificial intelligence has pushed off and become part of our consciousness so quickly. You see, in 1971, you could fit 2,300 transistors on a chip. Then in the 90s, here, Australia sort of slants that way. In the 90s, I remember buying a 386 and doing my uni work on that. Then a 486 I upgraded. Then in around 2000 we got Pentiums, and it was the brave new world. And now, look, you can get, what is it, 1 billion transistors on one chip. So you can see the technology is increasing at that rate. At the same time, the cost of computing has come crashing down, so it's much more affordable and usable. And here is the accuracy of these things. You see from 2010, they were about 70% accurate at recognising images on the ImageNet website. Human performance is at, say, 95% and constant. And in about 2014, the competition was won by a company that could recognise at human level, right? Recognise these things at human level, and then greater and greater than human capability. Until, what's the point of doing this anymore? What's the point of doing this anymore? They stopped the competition, right? Because computers had surpassed human ability. So what about its use in trade? Well, thinking about it, removing the human from the loop, removing the human from trade itself. We have AI that looks at customer data and gathers all the customer data from your transactions and your web transactions and shopping transactions, and it creates a personal profile of you from that data and other data it can collate from the internet, and tailors advertising to you, and makes offers to you. I'm not sure how many of you are on the online shopping or whatever and receive the personalised services. But at a conference a couple of years ago, some representatives from Woolworths said, well, we're using AI to do this, and we've increased our consumption by 15%. Now, they were happy. I was, as a lawyer, or as a consumer lawyer, a little concerned about that. Why is this good? That we are allowing companies to make us buy more without our consent, without our knowledge. It's kind of a machine trick. It's used in data analytics. We use data analytics to predict demand and respond. And this is the supply chain argument, that you can have your warehouses preparing things on just in time, and everything becomes much more efficient. In international trade, we have translation services now, which cut down problems with miscommunication, makes things much more smooth. Smart contracts and blockchain, which we heard about today, eliminating those transactional problems, eliminating paper, bills of lading, insurance contracts, contracts for credit, banking contracts, etc. Eliminating those. And autonomous shipping and transport. So not only autonomous cars, but autonomous boats, autonomous trucks, which we'll see in a minute. I'll give you a photo of that. And I had written down Amazon Dash, which is the Amazon product where you buy a little button and you stick it on your washing machine. It's got for washing powder. So when you run out of washing powder, you push the Amazon Dash button, and it sends a signal to Amazon, who makes a box of powder, puts it on the shipping thing, drones it to you, and it's delivered to you just by pushing a button. Great idea, I thought. Eliminates the human-to-human contact, except, unfortunately, they're dead. They died. So these things come and go. Part of the reason was because the German government, or German courts said that they banned them, saying having a button without real-time updated price information about what you're ordering violates consumer protection laws. So they've now pulled the Dash, unfortunately. Perfect example of, smooth transacting. But now they're saying this will be replaced by voice ordering. So over your Amazon Alexa, you simply now say, order me a new box of washing powder. It's much better, right? No humans involved whatsoever. So what is the impact on trade? McKinsey say that they're looking to unlock $9.5 to $15.4 trillion in international trade, specifically allocated to AI and creating the efficiencies and smoothness and reducing friction in trade. Retail and marketing is the superstar there. And you see in these industries the percentage of incremental value from AI in these industries. So how is it being done? Some examples. Algorithmic trading. You might recognise this flurry of hand gestures and yelling that sort of signified share trading in our time. Now looks a bit like that. Right? Computers now trade. Right? They replace that human sort of friction that we see there. So what is the value here, right? Why do we want computers to do this? Well, it takes the emotion out of trading. If a computer can be programmed to buy at that level, wait for the profit target, then sell, it can do that all day, all night, and without humans' emotions, without human fear of losing a trade, without human desire to go that extra ride, the gamble. It does it at greatneck speed. You don't wait for a phone call from the guy to the guy in the bear pit to make the signal, right? It happens in a millisecond. And more diverse trading. Industry 4.0, this German instigated sort of thing where industry now is this integrated system using cyber-physical systems, the Internet of Things, cloud computing and cognitive computing, that sort of neural net sort of processing that we associate with AI. This again is the processes of ordering and manufacturing and delivery, all automated, right? Just happening just in time and always. And Siegfried Dias from Bosch, his dream is that it's highly likely that the world of production will become more and more networked until everything is interlinked with everything else. It's a nice dream to have. and supply, this is what we see in supply chains, right? Increased productivity, improved warehouse management, predicting demand, improving accuracy of delivery, right? And here is Amazon's marvellous factory, right? Humanless and perfect, right? With robots whizzing in and out. Remove the human, increase efficiency, everything's great. I make the analogy with automated vehicles, right? We see this happening a little, but the prediction is that automated vehicles will be implemented in 5 sort of steps or 5 sort of iterations, right? We're at level 1 or level 2 now, heading or wanting to get to level 3 quickly so that we can get to the fully autonomous stage, right? Once we're at 4, humans are out of the loop. Again, we remove the human, the problem, because humans, the irrationality and the unpredictability of humans creates accidents, right? Once we remove the human, joyous, no more accidents. It's smoother. Similarly, by eliminating the human element in trade, we get that efficient, frictionless trade. There's your Volvo driverless truck. Driverless, humanless, right? All automated and computerised and safe and efficient.
So, Michael, you're nearly time. So
Yes, I'm on the last slide. Wrapping up. What? I started with saying AI seems to be popular because it replaces the human, right? Oliver Williamson talked about transaction costs, right? And the aim of transaction cost economics was to economise on uncertainty, the bounded rationality of humans, and to mitigate hazards of opportunism was the idea. And then once you do that, you reduce transaction costs. What's he mean? Human actors are rational but bounded, right? We have an inability to control complexity of contracting. Human actors are subject to opportunism, which he calls self-interest seeking with guile, deceit, calculated efforts to mislead, distort, disguise, obfuscate, and otherwise confuse, to cheat and to get one over the opposition, right? It's a human characteristic which Williamson says will always be there. And the cost of circumventing that is transaction costs, right? In Williamson's world. Remove the human and the world is a much better place, right? And to answer Alexei Sale's question, what's that button there for? His answer was, as he was electrocuted by the button. So thank you, and that's my presentation.